Hi folks, welcome back to the Hoard. So, what am I working on today? This is a big old Kohler engine that I got as part of a Craigslist deal. Actually, it was the Craigslist deal. And I bought it years ago, and it was so cheap. It was almost like scrap price. And you can see it's got a front shaft, and I think you could see the shaft on the back of it there. It's 2 cylinders, 27 horsepower, and it more or less came as what you see. When I bought it, the person who sold it to me handed me this starter to go with it, and I put the starter up against it and said, "You gave me the wrong starter, buddy. This starter is not going to work." So I think he started his price out somewhere around 150 bucks, and given that he couldn't give me a decent starter, the right starter to go with it, and all, I think I ended up giving him something like 50 bucks for the thing. So I bought it, and I got busy, and it ended up on this table, and here it sat for, I've probably owned this motor for 10 years. Before I bought it, I did check a couple of things. It's full of oil. The oil is clean, right? I didn't see any metal or bad things in it. That's what the air cleaner looked like. So I'm kind of like, this really looks like a clean motor, but I really know nothing until I put a starter to it. I mean, obviously, I tried to turn it over by hand, but you only get about halfway and you run across the compression stroke on one cylinder or the other, and at that point, you're kind of done. Given that I'm trying to clean up this place, I need to look at it, make a decision. Is this a viable motor, or should this be climbing onto a scrap truck, or should it be getting sold as like I have no compression on one cylinder? What should I do with it? Anyway, it does appear complete, right? The carb's here, the air filter's here, everything's here. I did buy a starter for it, and I bought this starter a while ago. It was from that major auction site. I think it went for somewhere 50, 60 bucks. So I don't know. I have $120 tied up in this motor, right? You can see the nice exhaust system. You can see the whole thing. And typically these motors go quite a long way, up over 1,000 hours. So just looking at it, I thought I was okay, you know, having 100 and a quarter into it. I just bolted the starter up to it, and by the way, this thing uses metric bolts. So if anybody's you know thinking, oh, I can use any old thing, it uses metric bolts. Please continue to use metric bolts. I did a compression test on this side. It came in at about 145, and I did a compression test on this side. My jump pack isn't as strong as it was to start the whole thing. It came in around 120, and once again, I didn't put oil on either side or do any of that kind of stuff, right? Those are dry compression tests. So I'm thinking they're within 20 pounds of each other, give or take a foot and a half. So I'm thinking from a build point of view, the engine is correct. You know, I opened the throttle when I did the compression check, made sure the choke was off, did all those things. So I think the engine, from a, once again, functional point of view, assuming it had everything else, mechanically it can start and run. When I turned it over, I didn't hear any bad sounds like when you're turning it slow, a lot of times you can kind of hear a little thumpy if there's a really bad rod knock, or you could you would hear like a little something with the valves. I don't hear any of that. It sounds like it's all ready to go. So why isn't this a cold start video? I have no spark. Here's the wiring. This thing has the twin coils. So before I tear it apart, I would like to use part of the YouTube community's knowledge, because I know many of you have put your hands on these engines, troubleshot them, and done good things. So you can see it's a Kohler Command SP27. You can see it has dual coils. Other than the spark plug wire, there are two other wires on this coil. For the, if I'm facing the front of the engine, the right hand side, one of the wires is red or pink coming off of it, and the second one is brown. On the left hand side, one of the wires is brown and the second one is yellow. Coming out of the engine, there's only this one plug, and it's got a white, a green, two reds, and a purple. The two reds go to one terminal. If I were to guess what's going on here, I'm thinking the two reds and ground, case ground, I'm thinking this goes out to your battery, right? I'm thinking there's some kind of voltage regulator, and this now goes out to the battery. I think each coil is a self-contained spark unit. Every time the magneto or the magnet goes around, I think it fires that one, comes around, fires that one, goes back, fires this one. So that's what I'm thinking. Am I knowing? No, I'm not knowing. I'm just thinking it. So I'm thinking this is electrical. So given that the reds and metal, that's going to charge my battery, I'm now looking at three other wires. I checked between green, which I would consider ground, and the metal, and I have an open circuit. And I really didn't mess with the other two. I'm also thinking, as I look at these, that guy and that guy, given that it has the kind of the brown wire, right? That is brown. Yeah, you guys can see it right there, right? That's brown. And these are different, right? The yellow wire and the red wire are different. I'm thinking that if I disconnect those two brown guys, that I'll get spark. Thinking, not knowing, because once again, I don't normally. This is, believe it or not, this is the first Kohler Command that I've worked on. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I don't have to put power to these, because once again, they get AC power off the flywheel. To me, it looks like a really fine looking engine from it's not worn, it's not dented up, it's not all covered with oil and then dust and then more oil and dust. You know, I didn't have a mouse and its family run out and scare the heck out of me when I opened it. So, and I'm not seeing it all clogged up in there, as in, you know, let me run it while it's clogged and overheat it and cook the motor. So I'm thinking I got a good thing cooking here. From a, you know, let's put this on a golf cart or something point of view. Problem is, it's a very tall engine. When you go from the bottom right there up, you know, even if you know, put a right angle right here, it's still pretty tall. I'm saying, you know, I'm saying 20 inches tall, so it really won't go under the seat, which means you got to kind of put it out back and do some other interesting things if you want to put it on a golf cart. Would be pretty cool to put on one of the larger tractors, like the I have a SS, I think it's a 16 over there, that has it's yellow. You guys have seen it on the way in and out. It's got a 2-cylinder Onins in it, so this wouldn't be a bad engine to put in there. And also the double shaft makes it interesting if one wants to do something with a snowblower or whatever. Anyway, let me know what you guys know about these things. Obviously, it's got a vacuum powered fuel pump. If I just put gas to it, it should theoretically start. I already gave it a tiny little hoot of ether when I first put the starter on there and turned it over before I tried to do anything to see if I was getting any popping. I did not. The next thing I did is I took out one of the plugs and, you know, put it right here like that, and you know, hit the button, and no spark. You guys probably felt a little bit of wind. I guess I can reach in here and pull the wire off and see if the spark starts. Okay, I pulled off the brown wire, and that does. Just want to make sure it doesn't go all the way around, right? No, that seems to go to that. So I pulled off the brown wire. Let's see if we get spark. No, no spark. I guess I can pull off the red one too, right? Why not? Okay, brown wire is off, red wire is off. Let's see if we get spark now. Once again, my theory is they should be self-contained. So, no, still no spark. So, yeah, that was my theory, and I'm fresh out of theories. So if you guys, yeah, it's going up a little over 120 now. I'm turning it over. So if I had to guess, they're probably within 15 pounds of each other side to side. Anyway, if you guys could let me know what you think, I'd really appreciate it. Folks, I want to thank you all for watching and commenting and subscribing. Please remember to keep your feet down, your heads up, and get out and enjoy each and every day. Bye now, folks.